Alright, welcome back everybody. Time to finish up any remaining electrical stuff. I had a great question on my last video from Juan. I'm probably saying your name wrong, I apologize. But asking about the how the bright switch worked and the flash and all that, so I'm going to go into that, see if I made a mistake there or not. But otherwise, just some odds and ends, trying to get the exhaust system in. That's been a pain in the rear a little bit, been working on that on and off. And then hopefully get to getting into preps for painting.
This is the various pieces of the exhaust. You would think with such a small car, we wouldn't have so many exhaust pipes. But this first one here, this is the main exhaust. I guess you could say that runs, the manifold plugs in on one side of this, I'm not sure which one. And then this longer pipe there, that goes towards the back of the car. And that last muffler right there, that's the rear diffuser. This piece right up here is a transition piece between the header and this exhaust piece. Now, one of my biggest regrets that I have on this car, there's a couple, but one of the big ones, I did buy a stainless steel exhaust header. One, it was a little pricey. I got it from Mimmers when it was on sale, so it was worth it to me at the time. So that's got the, that's piped in. Way over here, that guy right there, that's the original exhaust manifold. It's in fine shape, except for that last little pipe right there, and that was somewhat pitted and had a couple holes in it. So I just went ahead and cut off that one pipe. It kind of went from a 2 to a 1 pipe, and I didn't save that, and I didn't really concentrate on it, and got ahead of myself. That was early in the restoration, and I regret doing that. So I'm not real sure what the original one is made out of, if it's cast iron or what it is, and whether or not I can weld it. But you notice that it's sitting there, and one of these days I'll probably get that back together and put that back on, in keeping with my originality thing. It's already got POR 15 exhaust paint on it and all that stuff. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and sneak under the car here and get this stuff kind of roughly routed and see how it looks under there. For as simple as you would think the exhaust system would be in a car of that age, the clamps and connections and all that, the hanging brackets and everything are pretty complicated. I got all new stuff from the Roadster factory, which was kind of surprising to me because these are pretty obscure parts, kind of hard to find, and Roadster factory doesn't normally have a really good set of Spitfire parts as compared to their other stuff. They're more of our TR3, TR6 house and MG. But I got all the kits here, so I'm going to get under the car and show you how all that kind of stuff goes and how it routes, and hopefully I can get it all right. So when the exhaust is all piped in, this will be the back of the car. That connection there will bolt up to that clip I just showed you, run through this straight pipe into the middle muffler, and then that pipe goes into the exhaust manifold. You can tell that's kind of discolored because that was in there when I was running the car in. So there's a pipe clamp there. There will be a pipe clamp there. I don't have it on there yet. And then also there's going to be a pipe clamp. Now the thing I don't know is this middle pipe here in between the first and the second diffusers. I don't know how that thing is really supposed to go. So I think I'm going to work my way from the front to the back instead of the back to the front. That'll hopefully allow me to see a little bit better how that middle pipe is going to get twisted to fall properly. So I'll get that guy on the exhaust manifold, get that bolted up, get that transition done there, and then just work my way down. This is the layout of the exhaust system. Now essentially forward of the middle silencer there, this is all Mark I stuff. This is different, the arrangement, and there's no picture in the workshop manual on how the Mark II stuff goes. But then back here, this conglomeration of connections here, that connects up to the differential. I'll show you that. Just a union there and a union there, nothing going on. There is a hanger from the gearbox, and I'll show you, hopefully that'll fit. And then way in the back here at the very back of the car, that's a little tab that's on the boot floor. So this is the setup for where it goes to the differential. This is the hanger that goes to the gearbox that I had mentioned. This is another hanger that I tried to make work, but is too short. You can see how much difference in height that is, and there's also a different angle. Just a regular couple clamps here. So I'm going to climb under the car. Oh wait, and here's some rubber pieces. You can see these. This is a rubber union there and a rubber union there, but again, I think this is the Mark I arrangement, not mine. I'll have to look at that. But I've got these rubber arrangements here, and I'll get those connected as well. And I'll get under the car here. Probably going to be a little tight to show you how it all works, but we'll see. So again, this is going to kind of be in your face a little bit, so I apologize. This is the manifold, exhaust manifold coming down from the motor, and this is all still one piece until right about here, and then you hit a transition. This clamp here goes with this hanger, and I don't think it really matters which transmission mount you put on there, either this one or this one, but that's where that goes. So that hangs like that. It's got a little bit of adjustment to it, and this, let me see where I am here, this portion here just bolts onto the hanger like that. I'll get a better light under here so you can see better. Unfortunately though, if you look, to put this hanger on, you can see that the twist is not a full 90 degrees. At least I hope you can see that the twist is not a full 90 degrees. So it's not going to allow that to fit too well. The manifold is also brand new and aftermarket. And this is not, doesn't fit quite as well. The dimensions are slightly different. So the whole thing kind of wants to fall down a little bit as you work back. But as I put it together, that'll give me some leverage as I get towards the back to kind of pry around. But anyway, so I'm going to just start at the front and make my way back. This piece right here, you can hopefully see twists. This is a transition piece to get me out of the manifold. This is the first separate piece of the car itself. And I'm going to slowly work my way back. Got that bracket mounted to the transmission. I was able to just stick it in the vise and stick a screwdriver in here and just twist it. Twisted a lot easier than I thought it would. Now though, the pipe is not quite high enough because of the bend in the manifold, and until I get a couple more sections on here, I don't have enough leverage to lift this up. But essentially what happens is this bracket here, oops, that bracket here will come on like this and just connect right up to that little guy right there. Again, when I get it high enough to be able to make that connection. The manifold pipe stops like right in here, so it's going to be close in getting the clamp to actually clamp the two pipes together, because like I said, the manifold stops right about here, so I got to be careful that I've got this slid up enough and actually grabbing on to the exhaust manifold pipe so I don't have a leak there. So now the next up is that mid silencer right there. You can see that you've got a long stretch of pipe coming towards you there. On the back side of the silencer, it's probably only an inch or two of pipe, and the longer section goes up here. So that'll get a clamp, and no hanging anything. The next hanger is all the way back there. That guy right there, that's the next hanger. That's off the differential. All right, well, I got the bottle jack here, suspending or pushing, I should say, not suspending, pushing up, and I got the clamp able to be clamped up. So now I'll go ahead and pull the bottle jack out, get the clamp tightened down, and call it good. Now I'm on the middle silencer here, the forward silencer, whatever it's called. So I got the clamp on there. You got to remember to put the clamps on first as you feed, obviously. And then, like I had mentioned, it's got a long run of pipe here as compared to the back, which is only a couple inches. And you can just barely see the clamp back there. So now there's nothing to this. It's just a straight shot. I'm trying to keep it centered. It will touch the frame in there. You can see that it's pretty close, but I think it clears it on both sides. This will probably come up a little bit, so it may actually get into the pocket of the frame a little bit. But I've got another transition pipe. That guy here, that's pretty long, and that'll go all the way to the back to the rear silencer. And then this is also the pipe that gets attached up on the differential. So we'll scooch back there and get that part done. A little dark back here, apologize for that. But if you can see, I've got the rear muffler on a jack stand just to kind of help it stay up so that I can get it lined up. But I'm struggling here, I'll show you. The problem is this transition pipe that goes from the center muffler to the rear there doesn't quite line up real well with the rear pipe, and trying to, you can see here how that kind of fits up in there, and that looks like it's coming together, and I think it's routed right, but just it's not playing. So I'm going to continue to mess with it here, see if I can get it lined up, but I'm close, but it's a struggle. Well, not real pretty, but it's done. It's sprung pretty hard towards the back there. It probably, it's got a rubber hanger. I'll come around and show it to you. That is pretty heavy duty rubber, or else that thing would be way over. But this hanger came in okay. And then this guy, and then I have some contact here between the muffler and the frame, because it's over. And then I can't quite tell if I have contact here with the pipe. I don't think I do, but it's close. And then unfortunately, to get it all to fit, this hanger up here, again, I'm sorry, this is way in your face. This hanger up here, you can see how up I had to get with the split in the pipe. So I don't even know if that's grabbing the manifold right there, and it's not tight on it. But unfortunately, I didn't have another pipe clamp that was a little bit larger. So I'm going to have to get a regular julep clip, or whatever those things are called, to clamp that now that everything's back together. But it's all in there, so let me show you that rubber piece in the back. There's the rubber piece. You can kind of see how it's, sorry for the light there, how it's kind of crooked, and it's sprung pretty hard. But tailpipe pretty much comes out centered, or straight. It's not all crooked and everything. So I don't know if it's just because everything's aftermarket, and it, nothing's perfect and it doesn't all line up straight, and you just got to play with it, whatever. But it's in, so I'm happy, and it doesn't look too bad. This here is the horn relay, and if you remember, my horns don't work, so I'm going to try to get this cover off. It seems like it's a kind of a paper cover or something like that. It's got 6 little tabs that are bent over, so I have a feeling that I may do some damage here and destroy this thing, which I really don't want to do. So I'm going to see if I can get a little screwdriver or something under there and pry those things back. I tried it a little bit and it didn't work out too well. But I think this is, while it's actuating, I think the inside of it is not in good shape. So I'm going to try to get it open here, take it apart, see what I find. All right, got the thing open. Obviously been some corrosion going on in there, but the contacts and everything here look to be in pretty good shape. So I will clean everything up. Maybe maybe not, but I don't think this is the problem, which is kind of unfortunate because it should be. All right, I'll get this cleaned up, see what happens. So here again is the solenoid. So essentially what happens is power comes in on the, doesn't really come in per se, but the horn button connects here, the one in the steering wheel. So you press that, and you got the wire, if you can see that, that goes into the coil, energizing the coil, and it magnetizes and sucks that thing up. That thing comes up, and then it connects the current from this center to the outside clips here, and then that goes out to the horn. So when I have this shut like this here, I should have a short in between these 2 wires. However, when I do it, no noise. So I don't have a short. So that contact in there probably is just dirty or something like that. So I'll try to get that cleaned up, get the whole thing kind of cleaned up. It's actually, like I said, in better shape than I thought it was. And then get it up to the car and test it and see if the horns beep. Got the power supply here hooked up to the relay, clean the contacts up, and they're good, and the relay is good. So when that's shut, you get a continuity for power. So I know that works, so I'll wire this up as it would be in the car real quick, and then see what I get from that side. Relay's right here. I got my voltmeter. Take the voltage against these 2. I have the this is the line that goes to the horns. I don't want the horns to beep on me. All right. Get that connected. All right, reading 0, but when I press the horn, I get about 11.1 volts, but if you can see, the relay's not relaying. I'll zoom in on you, zoom in on that and show you. So this is the little arm here, that little guy, that's the one that should click all the way over. And it's definitely not making it. So that would tell me that I've got a bad switch or a bad ground. I'm not drawing as much current as I need to draw to cause that to shut. So the power supply says about 0.7 amps or so. I'll hook this up directly to the power supply real quick again, just to see what it draws with it fully working, and see what I should be looking for. All right, well, it's drawing the same thing, but not working. What I think is happening is the relay is getting hung up. So when I press the horn button, you can see it moves a little bit. If I use my finger, it will eventually click over. That just was doing it to me on the power supply. Let go. So something is not allowing that relay to exercise itself completely and actually make contact. So I'm not quite sure if I can fix that, but I'm going to play with it for a little bit and see if I can bend it or loosen it up or do something. All right, so what I did here was this little piece here. I just tried to bend. You can see how that's kind of not a full 90-degree angle. It's actually a little bit greater than that. So I tried to bend that to be more a bit 90-degree. And then this little brass piece right here, that looked like a return arm, just to kind of keep it from getting too far away. And this is a little piece of spring metal here. My guess is maybe over the years this just is slowly, you know, from the horn not being depressed down, that just slowly worked its way up. So I just tried to bend that down a little bit just to make the arm a little bit closer so that the coil didn't have to work as hard to draw the magnetic field to be able to make it draw the relay. And now when I do it, works like a champ. And that's hooked up to the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the horns now and probably make the horns beep. We'll see. No, that's unfortunate. No, my horns aren't connected. All right, helps if you have the horns connected. Huh. Still not working. Interesting. See if we can figure that out now. So I'm going to try the same thing I tried before when I beat the horns. Got the yellow and blue or purple wire, purple with the yellow tracer, and the solid purple. Essentially you short those two together via that relay and the horns will beep. Now the power supply doesn't have enough oomph to move the horns, but you should be able to hear the diaphragms that are in the horns kind of switch position a little bit. And you can probably hear that. So I know the electrical circuit's correct. See if we can figure out why it's actually not doing anything here. So essentially when I press the horn, power comes into here, causes the relay to energize via the battery power, which is on the center, and then when the contact closes, the power flows through out the purple yellow to the horns. So now it's working. But interestingly, doesn't work. That's very odd. I don't understand that one at all. So when I actuate the relay by hand, power flows, but when I actuate it with the actual horn button, nothing goes through. Yeah, I don't get that at all. All right, well, I'll try to brainstorm that a little bit. In the meantime, I cleaned the case up. I'll show you that real quick. Here's the pretty case now. Just threw it in the sandblaster. Got most of that rust out of the inside. So I'm just going to put it in some clear coat just to protect it from getting any more corrosion on it. And then I'll put the relay back together. I'm confident the relay works. Now I just got to figure out why it's not making sense for me electrically. One of my viewers, that's why I love you guys, asked a question. So Juan,
I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing your name right. Sorry if I'm not, but I appreciate the question. And essentially the question was, hey, when you were showing us the headlights and the flashing portion of it, when you turned the bright beams on, the bright light came on and the headlight looked normal. But when you flashed it, it got really, really dim. What's going on there? So I figured it out, and I asked the question on my favorite forum, and I think there's a big misconception about how this light switch works, and I don't even know that I understand it yet, so that's what I'm going to try to strive to do here. But you can see I've got the power supply set up. I've got the lights off in here so you can kind of see a little bit. And the car is set up. The electrical is connected from the power supply, and I'm at 12 volts. Now I'll put the headlight switch in the first position. Now the parking lights would be on. If I had parking lights connected, they would be on. And also I'll show you. You can turn the dash lights on in this position. And with the dash lights on, you can see the power supply. Hopefully you can see that's pulling about 0.7 amps or so. I'm going to turn the dash lights back off so that I have a no load condition. But now, like I said, the parking lights will be on. Then I go to the second position on the column switch, and the light bulb comes on. So now this is the regular or the low beams, and if you can read the ammeter on the power supply, it's drawing about 2.8 amps. Now if I flash, or excuse me, not flash, but if I turn on the high beams with the foot switch, high beam comes on, it pulls about 4.8 amps, and that's almost the extent of my power supply, but it will power this bulb, and you can see that it's noticeably brighter. So I'm going to turn the low beams back on. So there's your low beams, and I'm going to turn the headlights off. So now everything is off. The switch is completely in the off position. But now if I pull back on it to do the flash, you can see it flashes and it comes back to about that 4.8 amps. So that's telling me it's definitely flashing with the high beams. When I turn the headlights on, again, drawing about 2.8 amps, so I got the low beams here. If I flash with the high beams at this point, you can see I pegged the power supply out about 5.1 amps and the bulb gets dimmer. Why is that? Well, because instead of just flashing the high beams, it's got the low beams on, and then it also energizes the high beam filament. So that's both filaments are on the light bulb. That's with the low beam selected at the foot switch. Now if I turn the high beams on at the foot switch, as you can see, I'm back up to about that 4.8 amps. Now if I flash, nothing happens, obviously, because I've already got the high beams on. All right, so now I'm going to test the light switch. This is the switch out of the Mark 1, out of my black car. I'm assuming it's the same setup. I'm not positive that it is, but I think it is. So I've got my schematic here that I colorized, and I'm just going to go through all the positions and test and see what I get. You've got 5 wires in this thing. This brown with the blue heat tracer here, this is the main power coming in. You also have the little brown wire over here, that's for the flash. This solid blue wire, that goes out to the headlights when you're ready to turn those on. This red with the green tracer, that goes out to the parking lights. And then this blue with the white is the other side of that flash. So the light switch is in off right now. It's would be in the fully up position on the car. And I'm just going to go around and check continuity, and I shouldn't get anywhere. Alright, and I don't. So now I'll go to the first position. Power coming in. Headlights should not work, so I shouldn't have continuity here. And I don't. Shouldn't have it on the flasher circuit at all. And I don't. But I should have it on the parking lamps. So here's the noise. And there's 2 positions for that because I want the parking lamps to work in this position and the next position. Alright, so now I go to the third position. Now my headlights should be on and my parking lights should be on. So I take my main line in, I check my blue, I should have the noise. And I do, and I should have my parking lamp noise. And I do, but no noise on the flash. And I don't. Now if I flash it, I'm not going to test it because it's a little awkward to hold, but if I flash, I'll go like this, and it touches there, so I know that that's going to work. So now the positions of the switch are all lining up and making sense. But if you see here, this little line that goes across right here, I showed you this before, that does the flash circuit, but there's a connecting line that goes from this contact here all the way down to this contact here. Now that's the one that I took the
blue with the white tracer off of that is not documented on here. If you notice, there's only 4 wires on here, but there's 5 coming out of the switch. So if that line is there, then that should be a short right now. So I'm going to go from the blue with the white tracer to the solid blue and see if I get continuity. All right, and I don't. So that's interesting. All right, so I'm going to go over to Dorothy real quick and check that and see if I get continuity there. I'll be right back. Went over and tested Dorothy, so indeed that's what's going on. That light switch is wired up identical to this, the internals of the switch itself, that is. So essentially what's happening is when I flash the high beams using this one, and the power comes through 39 and out of the blue with the white tracer that I've gotten here and into the foot switch where it goes out to the high beams, if I also have my headlights on and they're selected the low beam, well, that's coming through this switch being down here and coming around and into the foot switch going out to the low beams, and because I've got the high beams, I've also got the high beams. So that's I'm pretty sure that's how it is. So if you're going to flash your brights, you're going to flash your brights no matter what the position of the switch is, and if you happen to have the low beams energized, well, you're going to have the high beams energized too. If you have the foot switch selected to the high beams, then just the high beams are nothing's going to happen because you already have that filament on. So I'm confident that that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it was from the factory, and yeah, there you go. So I'm pretty sure that that's where that blue with the white tracer wire should be, and at least that's how I'm going to keep it. I think this might have been one of those where the power supply just wasn't working. So because it puts out such a limited amount of current, and the horns themselves take more than the 5 amps that it can handle, I think what was happening was it was originally broken. I cleaned it up, fixed it. But what would happen is when I would actuate the relay and the relay would close, but the horns wouldn't make that noise, was because it was too much current to draw both the relay and supply absolutely anything to the horns, even to make them click a little bit. At least that's my guess. I'm not positive. But I got the car battery hooked up now, and it definitely blows. Damn, those things are loud. So I'm going to put the power supply back on right now just to kind of see, because that seems a little weird to me. Kind of a convenient thing there. It doesn't really make sense to me. Power supply is cranked all the way up. See what happens. Yeah, so see how it's rattling? It was doing that to me too. So I'm pretty sure that there was just not enough oomph in the power supply to make that whole circuit work, and it just doesn't like it. So, but I'm gonna go with what I've got. All right, got my shiny horn relay thing now. It looks like I painted it, but I didn't. So we'll just put that back together. So we'll get the punch, bend these tabs back over, and get it back in the car. Piped in the heater in the car, most of it. So what happens here is the water comes out of the top of the water pump right there, through the radiator, out through the line, discharge line down there, the big guy, up into the water pump again, through the block, also comes out here, through the intake manifold, out of the intake manifold, through this hose and into this pipe here. This line comes up out of the back of the block. It goes into the heater control valve, and if the heater control valve is open, there's going to be a hose that comes out of the back of that guy and connected to that. I didn't connect that yet because I don't have any hose clamps. Into the heater, out of this line. These two from the return from the heater and from the intake manifold come down into a hard pipe that's down there, kind of up and underneath and behind all that, and then you can see that big tube that comes through and then back into the water pump, and that's just your circular, that's your flow path. So that's how that works, and then you open or shut the heater valve and let more or less hot water in to control how much heat you have in the car. So like I mentioned, I got one more pipe to do because I got to get hose clamps, but otherwise that's all set up. Hopefully that don't leak.
All right, everybody, that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. So pretty good amount of work done today. Did get that exhaust figured out. That was a bear. I'm not crazy about how that went in. You can see also in the back there, you don't see any tent hanging up, so I didn't get any preps in for paint. But I'll get the car up here out of the way, get that taken care of, and then start getting the rest of the painting done, and then hopefully start moving into final assembly. Take care. Cheers.